And greetings everybody. Sorry about that delay. This is Griffin Gaming and welcome to Soul Citizens. It's another Sunday and I'm here with a couple more of my Soul Citizen brothers. Good to see everybody here. Thank you guys for joining us again. And we are back with, let's see, let me start with on my screen it's on the bottom. So let's start with TenthSigma. 10th, tell them what's
All
up.
right. What's going on, everybody? Good to be back on the show this week. I think this is going to be a great show. I'm pretty excited about it, as always, as all the shows. But happy to be in the house.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's happy, guys. There's anything that has to do with economy, economics, finance, making
Finance.
money. Synth
Yeah,
is the guy. This is the
that's
guy who
it.
loves doing stuff that none of us like doing that has to do with numbers and counting. So
That's it.
this is his
That's it.
expertise show. You know, I just noticed for the first time, I don't know why I kept thinking that your background was Terra. I just realized that that's New Babbage that's behind
It's
you.
new Babbage.
I don't know why. Whenever I see it, I always think about Terra for some reason. But I just saw
Yeah.
the nest behind your head, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not Terra. That's New Babbage.
Shit.
Yeah, now, is
This
that?
is where it's at.
Did you pick that because that's where you want to be, or is this because it was just a
Oh
pretty
yeah,
picture?
absolutely. This is
Oh
my
yeah.
place. I mean, until I see Terra,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be one of the 5 vacation homes, I guess. Maybe. Who knows?
Your winter getaway.
Yeah,
Okay, very cool, very cool. The
yeah,
nest is
that's it.
cool. And last but not least, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Fastcart. Fastcart FC. How are you? Know what? I never asked you. I know when I tried to go by Fastcart only, you told me that I couldn't use that officially. That it is it actually FC? Is it FC Fastcart Fastcart FC, or is it just what is it?
Oh, either way. Either way. My
Yeah.
website is Fastcard FC, but
Okay.
only on Discord I go by FC Fastcard because it's easier to ping me by typing in at FC than hitting tab. So that's why I do that on Discord. But Fastcard FC
Uh,
is on my business card it says Fastcard FC.
okay.
So,
All right.
you want to be official that way, you can say that.
I got you.
But you talk about the economy and everything, and the first thing that went through my head was money, 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 money.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely, and that's
That's it.
partially what we're going to be talking about today. So, oh, thank you for clarifying the FC thing. So, ladies, just hit FC. That's how you find them. Don't worry about typing in fast card. Just hit FC, and you know how to find them. So, okay. Listen, it's been a busy week again. Always with the community in CIG. This was kind of a fine tuning week for 3.10, which a lot of us have been waiting on. It's finally out. They're still working out some bugs. I think we're on maybe D now, maybe E. I can't remember which one they've got, which update it is, but it's mostly bug fixing, and I think there's still some stability issues with 30Ks. I still hear that's probably the one thing I hear the most about. I don't know about you guys. Have you been watching people, or you been playing? What you been doing?
I've been talking. I haven't been able to get in to the verse, but I've been talking to a couple people who said that it was pretty smooth, and
Mm-hmm.
then some others were talking about they had 30Ks, and I guess there was a particular bug that was going around where upon login, people were losing all their AUC.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I heard. The extent of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't experienced it firsthand, but that's what I
Yeah,
saw
some
or
people
heard.
went to some terminals, and when they go to buy something to stock up their ship, they put the money in, and they go out there, and it'd be nothing in the ship, and the money be gone
Right.
too.
Yeah.
That's a straight rip. That's not
Yeah.
too thrilling of a thing. Fast car, what about you? You been watching folks? Have you gotten the game at all, or what you been doing with it?
I haven't been getting into the game. I watched a little bit, but I'm more interested in seeing how the people are using the trading app so far. I haven't
Okay.
seen that yet.
Yeah.
But have you guys try that out, the trading?
Yeah, I've just used it to transfer money a few times, and it works flawlessly. You know, no problem. I don't. What I didn't notice, and maybe 10th, maybe you noticed it. I don't know. Does it notify you? Because someone transferred some money to me, and I don't ever remember something letting me know that the money was there. I just
That you got
happened
the
to
money.
look in there, and then I saw that there was money that was more than I had before.
Yeah.
And I'm curious
No,
if there's some
I
type of
I hadn't.
flag.
No, I hadn't seen anything like that.
Yeah. It'd be cool to get like a little flag
Yeah.
or something, like they have the icon that pops up when
Well,
someone wants to be your friend, maybe something that popped up to say, hey, there's been a transaction in some form.
You received or
well,
you know.
maybe you
Yeah.
just need a new Moby glass that'll send you
Ah.
that alert. You got to buy the top tier, the 80, 80K UEC one.
You gotta get the update, get the updated.
Money in your account.
Yeah, I got the basic one. I need to get the upgrade, the premium Moby Glass or something in order for that to happen. Maybe that is the deal. I don't know. Fastcart, real quick, and I know I didn't brief you on this ahead of time. Could you talk a little bit about how CIG did this week? Because we're talking about the Talon a little bit. You guys know that the Talon was released, Isperia, following the Tavar. And I've got to figure out what's the right way to say this word, because I always say Tavarin, and then I've heard Tevarin, and I never know which one is the right one. I don't know if it's,
I've said Tavarin.
It's the same thing for Xeon or Xeon.
Your Aegis or Aegis or whatever, right?
Aegis or Aegis,
potato, potato.
I mean, as far as I can tell, Chris Roberts like it when they debate among pronunciation. Yeah. He's enjoying it, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But as far as crowdfunding, I don't have the spreadsheet up in front of me, and if I try to get it, it'll delay my system.
Yeah, no problem.
Load.
But
they made quite a bit. I have the screenshot from a few days ago.
Okay,
I can show that.
Yeah,
but they. Like almost 500,000 a day.
Wow.
On average. Yeah.
Wow.
And from Relay yesterday, I learned I didn't know this. I thought when merchandise, when you buy something from the physical store, mm-hmm. it doesn't contribute to the crowdfunding.
Right, the numbers,
but
right.
Evidently it does, but just a small amount. It's like whatever profit they make, it adds to it. So I'm pretty sure they sold like maybe thousands of Picos. Mm-hmm. So every Pico you buy, it could contribute to crowdfunding too. So there's that.
And I mean, I would think that in general that would be the case. And let me ask you this, Tenth. In the midst of all the controversy that's been coming up over the past couple of weeks or the past month, 2 points of controversy, right? One of them was the whole Squadron 42 piece, right? Everybody's waiting from the community to see something on that. Oh, yeah. And then the other piece of controversy was that it was taking quite a while for 310 to finally get released. How do you explain, in the midst of all that, even some of the online internet magazines that kind of, squawked and raised sand, but then they turn around and make all this money right behind it, right? I mean, when is the revolution going to happen? When is the revolt going to happen where the community says, too much, we're not buying any more of these ships. You can't con us with these ships anymore. What's happening? Because people keep buying,
People keep going in, and that's the thing. I think I was saying on the news show a couple weeks ago, if you really want, and this is at the height of the 310 not launching roadmap, the roadmap for the roadmap, news and all that kind of stuff. I said, hey, if you want to send a message, the next thing they put out, just don't buy it, and walk away from the game. And, of course, I'm not trying to, make sure that CIG is not getting what their money, for what they put out. But if you have a problem with it, as an investor, or backer, you got to speak with the wallet. That's what they've come to.
Yeah, but here's the paradox, right? Because that's what we tell people, right? If you want to hurt them, talk with your wallet, right? But it's not what's happening. With all the griping and all the complaining, that's not. It'd be different if we saw economics, right? We don't see the numbers dip. They're making more money than they've ever made. We're 8 years into the project, right? But so my question is all the barking just barking? I mean, is it just people just?
I think it's here's my take. My take is when you come towards patches run in cycles, right? Like everybody's hyped at the beginning of the patch, and then your people who jump in and jump out mid patch, people who keep going full cycle, and then once everybody is on the other side of the cycle, they've done everything, they've traded everything, they've made their millions, they've seen their places, they've tried this new thing, they've done this new whatever. They begin squawking about newer stuff. So it was 310, right, which was the big piece, having been delayed. But then having not seen Squadron 42 update that they were promised, they combined those together. So that's they chain that together, and then the roadmap for the roadmap update, and that was all before 310 drops. 310 drops, you have the Talon that gets released, and people are still like, hey, I want to pick that up, and hey, I got to test it out, I got to get back in, and it's almost like that CIG says, okay, we heard you, but here's a ship. And everyone's like, okay, thank you. and we're back at it, So really, I just think that, for some people like myself, I think that for me, I probably won't be buying a lot of other ships. I've said before, my fleet's pretty much complete, but
Right.
I just don't want to throw any more money into the project until I see a little bit more on how they move in the development, and how fast they're going to go with it. I don't have any doubt. I'm not on a scam citizen train. I'm not anything like that. It's just you taking
So
8 years,
so Mr. Origin,
So
you're telling me that if a Origin 400 Learjet type of
Yeah.
four-seater
I
luxury
mean,
piece came out, you'd sit
listen,
there and just say, you guys aren't putting out enough for me.
all
I'm
deal,
not, 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 not,
all
not. Is
deals
that what
have
you're telling me?
exceptions, Griff. All deals have exceptions.
Okay, so you got to out.
I'm
You got
altering
to out.
the deal. Please, I don't alter it any further.
That
Oh
No.
is
man.
funny. That is funny. Lady Space Patrol. That's
Yeah.
a
But
very good question that you asked. Lady Space Patrol says, "Do we know if the revenue is many single transactions or just a few good whales?" If you look at what happened back when Invictus took place on that sale, we know that a lot of whales came out, right? Because there was the big sale of the javelins and the Idrises
yeah,
that literally flew out
boy,
of the
did they come
window
out.
within 3 minutes. They were gone. But
Yeah.
this
30
particular
seconds
sale,
sometime.
yeah, absolutely. But this particular sale, Lady Space Patrol, and the numbers that fastcart posted were really in relation to what happened with just something as simple as the $90 Talon that came out, and literally Pico. I mean, this month there was nothing substantial. I don't think that the whales went out and bought like 1,000 Talons. I think it was just,
Right.
I think that what was the appeal, and you guys give me your feelings on it, was the fact that most of the times when an alien ship comes out, they're automatically very cool. There are people who collect them. They have the alien
Yeah.
tax, so they're a little bit pricey. But
This one doesn't.
exactly, fast cart. We want to talk about that fast cart. What do you think about this $90 price tag for an alien ship?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Like I watched the Inside Star Citizen and compared it to the Gladius,
Mm-hmm.
and it's comparable prices with with comparable armament, even better, you can get a missile boat, which is I personally am a big fan of missile boat, but I'm not fond of the glass cannon nature of the Talon personally,
Mm-hmm.
but other people are, and you don't. There's no alien tax. Normally it's like $25 or $50 high price increase. Like the Glaive is comparable to, I want to say the Hornet maybe, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
almost, yeah,
It's a lot more.
it's
Yeah.
much more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But you were talking about before about the complaint versus the money they're raising. I mean, I said this before. I think I said it on this show. The amount of salt the community generate can salt Boston Road for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no end to the people or the amount of complaints, even a vocal minority, a number of complaints that, they can generate week to week, depending on what news come out. And I also want to go back and say about the roadmap to the roadmap. I've joked about it, because it's in my nature to joke about that stuff. But when I read the actual thing the first time, my first impression, I just took them at their word, and it didn't click. It was a roadmap to a roadmap to me. I just said, oh, they're gonna work on it to put out a roadmap.
Mm-hmm. That makes
So,
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
but as far as the other sale, it's I would be interested in to see how many ships are being sold at $90 because it is another CC LTI token, but it's not really cheap compared like a $50 LTI token.
Yeah. I mean, when people, the rock, you could definitely question how many people bought rocks, not because they're interested in mining, but it was the $50 token. But for me, when you get
Right.
above $75, near $100, I know people always say, well, you can always use it as a token, but I hear that more of like if something better comes out, I'll trade it. Where when people got the rock, they could care less. You know what I mean? I'm a miner, so the rock was cool with me. But other people, all they see is token with an item like that. I was definitely surprised at the $90 price tag. I did not expect it. it definitely puts us in the comparable area of the Arrow, and like you said, the what was the other ship you mentioned? The Aegis one,
Gladius.
the Gladius, right? Um, I always worry a little bit about the Gladius themes, and I guess for light fighters, we don't have that many. Those are the two. The Arrow has pretty much been dominating, and the Gladius, even though there's some people who feel like maybe that ship's getting old, the Gladius is always going to stay relevant because it's the ship that you have to fly in Squadron 42. So
Yeah.
no matter how you feel about it, you might want to learn how to fly a Gladius. Right, exactly. We're going to say fast card?
Real quick, I also forgot. Not only did the Rock and the Challenger out. When 310 came out, they had a special, not a special, but the M50 and the other 310 ships also had a special deal. So that might have generated some interest in people buying too.
Yeah, and there were people who I know said that they were waiting to see the M50 update because they were looking forward to it, and some people who went back and repurchased theirs when they melted. So you're right. I didn't even think about the M50. That was definitely another factor. Lady Space Patrol, I agree with you. Hot tubs are definitely in. My Phoenix has one, so can't go wrong if it's got a hot tub. I agree. Well, that was our quick update, gang. We're going to go ahead and jump into the subject for this week, and that's trading starships. I kind of gave a brief to both 10th and fastcart when we got started that I'm kind of taking a little bit of control in relation to what's going to be on screen. And I don't mean necessarily the technical side. I mean what you actually see, because I want to challenge them and get their feedback as well as get your feedback about what it means to have a trading starship. One of the things that I see people do in Star Citizen all the time, and please forgive me, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm just this type of person. I really embrace the idea of Chris Roberts creating a game that there are careers, that there are things that are designed a certain way to do certain things. For example, obviously you can play Star Citizen as a solo player, but his real emphasis is multi-crew and creating a social dynamic, because as you guys know, in games like World of Warcraft, like EVE, the social dynamic is one of the things that keeps those games going, regardless to what's happening in relation to the actual, development of the game. The social dynamic is kind of like the glue for those games. And so when we talk about trading starships, I'm going to be listing some ships today that some people may agree with, some people may disagree with, some of you may feel there's some ships I've left off the list. Let me give you my definition of trading, and I'll see if fastcart and TenthSigma agree. What I believe trading is when I'm doing some form of commerce, sales, transaction, but the items that I am doing the transaction about or over are items that I personally own. They are things that my money is invested in, and I am trying to make a profit off of those items. So I literally own whatever is on that Banu or whatever that ship is. It's my stuff. Where when I look at cargo is when I'm contracted out. When TenthSigma hires me and says, Griff, I need you to move these medical supplies from here to there. I have no personal interest in those items beyond the fact that I'm going to get paid when I get there. Does that make sense, guys? Do you agree with that, or do you have a different variation of that?
That's a good definition.
That's good enough. Okay.
That's that. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So understand that the ships that I selected for us to talk about are based around that definition. Now I know you could use a Carrack to do trading if you wanted to, but the Carrack is not going to appear on my list because I look at the Carrack as what it is defined as an exploration ship being its primary goal. I know you could use it, but its primary focus is exploration. Yeah, you could do some trading with it.
Even though you said that, people are still going to comment. What about the Carrack in YouTube comment? You know that's going to happen.
Well, it could. You're absolutely right. But I just want people to know the method behind the madness, because I don't want them to feel like I left ships off and why didn't you consider this? And I want them to know that was the baseline for why I picked the ships that I did. Okay, so let's jump into that, and let's start. What we're going to do is start with the smallest in capacity ship and use in utilitarian aspects, and work our way up to what would be the granddaddy or grandmama of ships. Okay, so let's start out talking about a real simple ship that let's see, I'm gonna try to start out with this simple ship. Hold on a second, maybe I need to turn off something here. Hold on. Something's not working here. Bear with me one moment. Where is it? Where is it? Let's turn that off, and let's turn this on. See if it comes on. Okay, none of my None of my shortcuts are working, so I'm gonna have to do these manually. So let's do that.
Doing
Boom.
it live.
Yes, we're doing it live. Okay.
Do it live.
Here, Mustang, Consolidated
Yeah.
Outland, Mustang Alpha, which is considered to be their cargo version of that ship. Even though they do have the Mustang B beta, this one does have a
Hmm.
cargo area in it. Um, Give me some feedback on that. Is it practical? Not practical? Starter? What? What do you think?
It's a great starter. Like I came in, I backed in the days where you could get the 300i as a starter
Mm.
alongside a
Hmm.
lot of these ones.
Mm-hmm.
So now that that's not really an option, and you have your Auroras and this Mustang and whatnot, and having only the two to kind of your entry into the game. Do they still offer the Avenger as well as a starter?
I don't know. Is it a
I believe
package? I
so.
don't know if it's a package though. I know
Right.
you can get it. I just don't know if it's a package. I can't remember.
But I guess I guess my point in saying all that is for somebody who picks up the game, they can get a ship and easily begin kind of dipping their toes into the different careers, at least some of them. You're not gonna you this ship has it has some teeth to get you out of a jam. You could pick up a few boxes, and you could trade them for yourself. You're not gonna do massive hauls with this thing, probably just on its fuel capacity alone. But you'll get to where you need to go. You can do some courier stuff. You could do some cargo stuff. I think it's a good starter piece, but it's quickly going to become a ship that's like, oh, okay, what's on to the next one for your player who wants to progress faster. But it's a good one. It's
Yeah.
entry level.
Yeah. Fastcart, let me ask you a question. We've got all these starter ships in the game, right? I mean, we've got the next in 3.11, we've got the Alpha 300 series. I mean, the 100 series that are going to be coming out, right? And those are going to be pretty much Origins versions of the starter ships. We've got the Auroras, we've got the Consolidated Mustangs. Are these ships going to be practical? I mean, people are buying these ships that are like $200, $300, and I think in their minds, soon as the game, quote unquote, is in some playable space, that's the ships they feel like they're going to. I'm going to start playing Star Citizen in my, Constellation, whatever, right? Are
Hmm.
How do these ships stay relevant? Especially with trade, right? I mean, will the entry level person literally say, this ship is faithful to me and I'm going to stick with it, or I'm not going to even pay attention to these starters. I'm just going to jump right up to a freaking freelancer and start doing my work. How do these ships stay relevant in the game? Do you think that risk versus reward is going to force people to use starter ships more, or what?
Well, the way I would answer that is that yes, you do have a people who do like buy Constellation or a bigger ship that it's going to be might be their only ship or might be part of their fleet. But that's actually the minority because between the three of us, we're in a bubble. In a bubble. Most people we know are concierge people or like or higher. But the majority of people who back the game put in only $45 or $60 and just have one or just one ship or maybe two max. So it's like, so I think that the smaller ships are relevant because quite a few more people had those ships compared to people like us who had the bigger ships. If that makes sense.
Well, I'd say too that like if you look at a ship like this or the starter ships, they blend in really well. I mean, if you are somebody who has a career as say like a bounty hunter, or you're in a career and you just got done doing something that's just it's just you got too many eyes on you, you got too much too much heat on your org or something like that, you might fly around some ship like this just to protect your larger ships that would be targets for someone else who's saying, oh, if he's bouncing around in that, call it a hole or something, you're going to be easily popped, versus this little thing right here, we're going to get two boxes out of a whole fleet that jumps in on you, so you got considerations like that. And when you think about Eve and the capsules or the shuttle ships that they have, those things are just, they're zippy, they're fast, you don't mess with people who are in those things most of the time,
Yeah.
right? And I'm imagining that that's kind of what the social gameplay is going to be like. When you get to this level, it's just not going to be a lot of people who mess with these little ships. So that's kind of my
Well,
thoughts on it.
I know I do fall into that category where I will jump into a starter ship in a heartbeat, either to go meet up with people or when I want to not be detected, because my general feeling is people don't pay attention to them. When I'm trying to get somewhere, I don't want anybody taking pot shots at me. I will jump into that. Uber Nerd, thank you so much for the raid. Why didn't our raid alarm go off? Oh my God, thank you so much for those of you coming over from with Uber Nerd, the man with the beard. Welcome to Soul Citizens. We're talking about trading and trading starships today on Soul Citizens. Hello, hello, and thank you guys so much for stopping by and saying hi. Fastcart, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I forgot to make a to say that I'm looking at the starter page now,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the alpha and the aurora. Obviously, you have the standalone package. Then you have the Pisces expedition for 60. You
Okay.
have the combo for 65, and the Avenger Titan and the Avenger Stalker are both packages now. I'm gonna go up to the freelancer. Then you have the Anvil Arrow for $90, Cutlass Back, the Hornet F7C, and then the freelancer.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's move on. Let's go on to the next one. Someone just mentioned this one a few seconds ago, and that is going to be the Avenger, Titan in particular. Yeah, let's get some thoughts and feedback on this particular ship. It's a fan favorite of many people in the game. One of my first ships that I bought, in fact, it was the first ship I bought. I bought this because when I was walking around in the old hangars, you guys remember back in the day when they were more of a display room than they were a hangar,
Mm-hmm.
it reminded me of the space shuttle, the paint job and the tiles underneath and all that. And I didn't even think about it in the sense of cargo at that time, because if you remember, the first rendition of this ship had the jail cells in them. It was not the open cargo version. That came much, much later. So yeah, what do you think about this particular ship as far as that trading aspect?
Actually, I
Yeah.
own one. It's probably one of my smaller cargo trading ships that I have. And I bought it specifically because of the price versus cargo and ratio for the ship of this size.
Mm-hmm.
And compared to the Stalker. This is not combat oriented. If you're trying to zip around, you may be a little bit more vulnerable. But like you said, if it's just you and you're trying to get someplace quickly, you may not be. You probably will be ignored if you just fly fast. Hopefully,
Okay.
that's my
Yeah.
plan anyway.
Yeah. J2 talks about the fact that small ships are simply more convenient. Sometimes he'd rather fly in something like a Pisces or a Cutlass to do just simple box run missions. And absolutely, I think that's a great point. X Quinn, thank you so much for the follow. We did see you there. Thank you so much for following us. And let me throw this at you, Tenth. Something that X Quinn says, or someone had mentioned about fuel. Forgive me for missing who said that. Oh, it's Oren. Oren says, I think when fuel is more of a cost, size of ship you use might be relevant. What do you think about that,
Mhm.
10th?
Absolutely, absolutely. Similar to what J2 was saying, not only is it easier to uh, jump in a small ship to get something done, it's probably more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said earlier, Griff, you're gonna hop in a smaller ship to go meet up with somebody. You're not gonna, we've talked before about the 890 and the capital ships and all this kind
Mm-hmm.
of deal, just to lift off from a hangar and get operational. Like that's gonna burn, a ton of money to get it done. And so I think when you have a smaller ship like an Avenger or our smaller ships that we just looked at a moment ago, people are going to opt for these just to conserve fuel. And then, when you start talking about the economy and fuel pricing and different types of fuel, you're going to want to, especially in this trading era, you're going to want to. I'd like to see, some futures kind of deals for fuel that would allow orgs to purchase at a price now you know, to hedge their bet against if prices are going to go up or down, you know, if that's even possible. And I'm just kind of asking a lot. But with fuel being a very real component to flying ships, you will have to think about it, and orgs and leadership will have to think about when they enter engagements, fuel costs and fleet upkeep and maintenance, you know, that kind of deal. It all factors into what that bottom line will be, especially for your trading based orgs who fuel is a thing for that. So yeah, factor. I agree.
Yeah, and just for the folks who just came in from Uber Nerds Group, just so you guys know, we're defining today that trading is when you are making a transaction or selling something, but you have personal interest in those items. In other words, you own them, versus cargo, where you're being contracted out or you pick up a mission to deliver something from here to there. Got no personal interest in it other than just getting paid. We classify that as cargo. So the ships that we're showing today are reflective of what we think represent trade, where it's about you getting those items safely back and forth in your bottom line. So there'll be some ships that you'll see that we feel fit in that category. Fastcart and 10th did not pick these ships. I did, so don't blame them. If you don't like the pick, blame me. But we are going to, and we're also going to
email to GriffinGamingRPG.
But if you guys feel differently, if there's ships that you don't see when we get through the list, please feel free, and we'd love to kind of get your feelings about them. But we're working our way up from the smallest in capacity up to the largest. Fastcart, what were you going to say?
I know we just talked about the Mustang, but it occurred to me, like, the Mustang Alpha has its own cargo space, but the Mustang Beta has its own living quarters.
Right.
Even though CIG or no one else really promotes this, but you could stuff a whole lot of boxes into the living quarter of the Mustang Beta if you really wanted to. It may not be safe that day. It may not arrive in one piece back if you got to jostle around or not a careful flyer, but you know that's a possibility too.
Yeah, that's true. X-Quinn, no, we're covering all of them. In fact, the next ship that's coming up is a ship that is not flyable yet, and let's jump right into that. All right, does anybody know what that thing is? That should be foreign. Oren, thank you for the follow. Extreme Jones, thank you for the follow as well.
And
yes,
I believe I missed a X-Quinn follow too.
Yes, X-Quinn too. Thank you. So what do you guys have to say about
your sound, Griff?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we? Oh, that's because I was clicking on the other software. Sorry. I was saying, does anybody know what that thing is? That's one of those ships that isn't in game yet.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah, that's a Hull A, right?
Yeah.
And this does get into a different category or class of ship or type of ship, but just so you guys will know, I picked the Hull A and Hull B because they can land on planet surfaces and on platforms, where the sea and everything else above that, when they are loaded with cargo, you cannot do that. So know that that's the reason why I picked this particular ship. I do have some numbers too. What do you guys think about the Hull A? I know we don't have it in game, but is it something interesting to you, or is it like, it's ugly? What do you think?
No, I like it. I like it. I'm a Myth fan, so you know, almost anything Myth I almost own. But yeah, I do like it. I have the B variant of this one because it carries more, but I do like both variants. And this thing, I think, carries as much as a Freelancer, if I'm not mistaken.
Just
or
about.
More than a Freelancer.
Let me give you the numbers here. The numbers here are the Alpha, because I'm sorry I didn't do this on the first one. The Alpha is 4 SCU. That's the smallest. We missed one ship. Oh my God. Did I not? I did miss one. Give me 1 second, gang. I've got to go back. This is not their fault. It is my fault. So let me go back one ship here. Hang on. That one. We did not talk about this one.
Back. Let's see here.
I see you talking on screen, but I can't hear you.
There we go. Sorry. And the ship should be on screen now.
Yep.
Yep. There is.
The core.
Okay. Corre.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
This is a ship that you don't see very much on. They did a rework on that whole, series of ships. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about this ship is I love the field of view.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll buy that.
That's the only thing you got on that one?
I'll buy that for
that's Yeah, that's
Yeah, I almost bought the science version, the Sin, but for this show, the Koi. I mean, uh, I I my impression of it is that it doesn't really, it wouldn't probably fly well, or at least fly the way I would want a ship to fly, because of the way it's shaped and everything. But it does remind me of the B-wing, and that's a plus in its favor.
Well, here's the deal. We're going through the SCUs. The Alpha, Mustang Alpha, is 4 SCU. This one is number 2 with 6 SCU. It's a step up. It's between that and the Avenger. I actually like the core rate a lot. I love the whole, going from the, wing, B wing, or what do you call that thing? There's a term they use for those type of wings, where it's just like a flying wing look, to the B wing type of look where it's vertical. I like that. You can put packages in the back of it. It's one of those ships that's just kind of a weird thing, and I don't know. We keep hearing about what is the benefit of this Xi'an technology with MISC ships, and I haven't found the distinctiveness in them yet. I mean, other than maybe they look a certain way, but I keep feeling like on a tech side there should be something else that's a little bit more outstanding about them because of the alien hybrid aspect of them. I don't know. It's an interesting ship. I don't know if people think about it in relation to cargo, but it's there for that. In fact, the main shot here shows them loading a big box in the back of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, let's jump back to the Hull series here. Boom. Let's talk about that with the Hull. Any thoughts on these ships? Because I know we don't have them yet. Is it worth somebody buying a Hull A, B, C, D, E, or what? Give me some thoughts on that.
I think it's worth it. I mean, I own a B, for instance, but others may disagree. But others, it depends on where you are. If you like, I intend to fly in safe space, a quote unquote safe space, like maybe Terra or maybe the Solar System. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
But so if I'm just zipping around and making safe runs, hopefully the whole will get the job done. But if I'm like, in cat cart or pyro or someplace like that, I'm gonna want something more beefier.
Yeah. JT.
And I'm looking for security on it.
Security
for the holes. Like that's, you gotta protect the investment. So
Yeah.
I think it's more to this ship than just the ship.
Yeah.
There's this is part of a squad or part of a concern or something like that. To make this thing run.
Yeah. J2, you're absolutely right. I didn't put the 135, the Origin 135 in, partially because I was like 3 a.m. trying to do this stuff, and I was beat, and I completely forgot about the 100 series. Secondly, though, it's still Origin, which means it's luxury, which means that it needs to stay clean. So we never put anything in it. We just fly it around. So that's the reason why it's not there.
Thank you for the follow, Iris.
Irish Vic, thank you for the follow. Dingleberries, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you all chuds hanging out with us today. Let me throw some numbers at you guys again. I'm going to keep working way up. Alpha is 4. Core is 6 SCU. Avenger is 8. The Hull 8 is a big jump. It goes to 48. So this is a decent size increase. Do you think, Goat Sex, thank you for the follow. Let me ask you this question. Talked about security, fastcart. Do you think when people see these ships that there will be issues with them? And what I mean by that is that, well, let's say when you're riding down the highway, right? Like right now you're riding down the highway. When you see a semi going by making deliveries, you know that the semi is just making deliveries, right? The guy's just doing his job. That's it. You don't sit there and, swerve your car over and say, let me run this guy off the road. He's out there doing his thing. Will cargo ships like this, will players look at them from that viewpoint, that they're just doing commerce? They're just, they're doing their thing. Or, as Tenth said, when you break out a ship like a Hull A, B, or C, will there be this thing automatically that you feel like I've got to make sure that I've got a security detail? I may be loading nothing but some wheat, but, is that something that we're going to have to worry about from players? That always some aspect of piracy or just, indiscriminate destruction because they see a cargo ship or a trading ship?
I think it depends on the system.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it depends on what system you're in. If you're in a safer area like Sol or Terra, it'll be like, maybe a semi going by. Except for me, if I see a whole E or a whole D coming up behind me, I'm moving the heck out of the way for one thing. But
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to be in front of or behind that thing just in case it had to back up or something. But
Right.
more seriously, like, yes, I mean, if you have a whole D or a whole C or a whole E, you want security, no matter, if you're in solitaire or in a more piracy area. But
Yeah.
I think it depends on the size of the ship and your system.
Yeah. Quinix
To
is.
Well,
answer
I
your
think
question.
too.
Mhm.
I think too. Like, hey, as Nick says in chat, I think it depends on which systems you go through,
Mm-hmm.
and then Quinn saying it depends on the cargo and the space. So when you
Hmm.
have those scanning capabilities, people are going to decide what the risk reward is by scanning the ship and determining if they want to snare it with their mantis and then, you know, beat it up with whatever fleet they have,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but or whatever ship they have in their fleet, I should say.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to depend. It's definitely one of those things. Just like, even if you talk about the real world example of you see a semi, coming down 94,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, okay, it's a semi coming down 94. But if you see this semi, going across the border, or any other place,
Mm-hmm.
like, nah, it's like it's a different kind of story, because you never know the different areas of the verse are going to be more dangerous than others,
Mm-hmm.
at different times.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's always a concern, which is why you just want to have that security in place. But I think this ship is designed for people who have decided I'm going to be running things for a long time, just like you talked about, Griff. Uh, Chris Roberts saying, having players focus on careers. This is a pure career hauling cargo ship, or trading,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what side of the transaction you're on, and you have to, you know, take that seriously once you get to this kind of investment.
Yeah. Quinn said
I
something here.
just
Said
want to.
if the Q and A's are correct for the hulls, and this is true, because people look at the hull ships as being vulnerable, but it says they have some pretty heavy defenses put on them in place for those cargo boxes, and that is true. If you guys remember, there was a video that they put out when the hull for the Hull C a while back, and they showed. I think it was almost like the ship was in alert because someone was trying to board it, and they were batting down in there, ready to take on whoever was
Mm,
going to take the ship.
Mm-hmm.
These ships, uh, there's going to be this aspect of, to me, whether people are going to fire upon them or whether people are going to try to take them, right? Because if you've got, this ship carries 48, right, in SCU, you can't load those into fighters. You've got to be able to load that cargo into either another ship of comparable size, or you've got to take the ship, right? I mean, it's got to be one of
Mm-hmm.
those two things. So, and how easy will it be to pirate a ship? We don't know yet because we haven't seen the mechanics
mm,
for it.
Right. Right.
But, my question becomes, these ships, I think they said the Hull C is going to be the most prominent cargo ship, NPC cargo ship, that we're going to see in game. And so it'll be really interesting to see, how these ships take to people attacking them, trying to take them. I'm really curious to see what it's going to be like. So, yeah.
all right.
Go ahead, fast card.
Real quickly, you brought up Eve, and that's I mean, good example for like trading and cargo in a game.
Mm-hmm.
There were several times when I had blueprints or something small, like one unit or whatever, and it was very valuable, like maybe 100 million or something along those lines, and I really don't want it to be scanned or destroyed or whatever like that. I would take a shuttle because I mean, it's zippy and it's really hard to scan down and it's really hard to pin down because it's just a small and fast ship. I would take a shuttle to go to Zeta or whatever and make my trade and come back because I mean I felt safer or more secure in a shuttle even though it's very fragile
Yeah.
because it's so fast and zippy. Where compared to like maybe a Rifter or like a frigate class and stuff like trying to get through, I might get scanned down and I might get destroyed or whatever.
That's a good
So
point.
yeah,
That's a very, very good point. Okay, let's move on to the next step up. We're going to go to was it called the pickup truck of the universe that a lot of people either own or they have flown them before. It's definitely a popular ship. And that puts us back with Misk again with the Freelancer. Cargo size on this one, you mentioned this fast cart. We go from 48 with a hull A to 66 with the base Freelancer. I don't have the max numbers here. If somebody here remembers what the max is, if you want to toss it in chat, feel free. Or maybe, I don't know, fast cart, if you're able to look it up. But let's just talk about Freelancer in general, just because of the type of ship for trading. Any thoughts on the Freelancer?
Great ship. I gotta say, great ship. I don't own one as part of my fleet. I have a few. I think everybody has a loaner from whatever patch a minute ago, when they get loaned it out. And I think maybe some of that stuck or whatever the case was. But if you haven't had a Freelancer, have a chance to be in one, fly one, operate in one, it's something you have to do. These are great ships. They're reliable. And this, in my opinion, is one of the darling ship of Misk. This, I mean, at least when I think about Misk, I think about the Freelancer before I even think of like a Prospect or any other ship, because the Freelancer has this utility associated with it. And I think when you get to this level, which many people will be, there's always the debate between the Freelancer and the Cutlass Black. They kind of sit on these same planes, in consideration to cargo space, firepower, defenses, multi-crew capability, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the Misk is a great ship for, it slightly edges out above the Black because of its cargo space and what it can do. And I think this is an all-around fantastic ship. You can do a lot with it, and you have the space for it. And it's like affectionately known as the pickup truck of space. Pickup trucks in real life, you could do a lot with the pickup truck. Even if you don't have the cargo, you're not hauling around somebody's couch from down the street because so needs help with moving. You could do a lot with it. You can do a cab on it, or excuse me, one of those hoods on it to cover the cargo area. It's the utility of a pickup truck in real life is they've done a great job in allowing the Freelancer to be utility inside of the verse. So I dig it. The only drawback I will say is that dash is huge, right? That dash is so.
I was gonna say that cockpit view. That cockpit view is poor.
Now, now people have talked about the cockpit view for a long time, and I remember when it was a real big stink when it came out, right? Especially after the redesign. But I've always looked at it as every ship has to have its one thing about it that's the thing that's not great about it. And the Misk ships, whether it's the Starfarer, all of them, they all have this issue, right, with the narrow point of view. Everybody wants to have the all glass view. I always felt that they built that in as a handicap, so that it is not the perfect ship. Every ship always seems to have some area that there's something that we wish was a little bit different about it. Because if there was that one Frankenstein ship, that's the only ship everybody would buy. Let me ask a question, fast card. The Misk Freelancer has 4 seats in it, plus a gunner's seat. Warhawk, thank you for the follow. Photon Energy as well, thank you for the follow. I'm sorry I didn't mention it earlier. 4 seats, right? Are those 4 seats there just so you can cart 4 people around? Or are those 4 seats there because everybody will have responsibilities in ships like this? And I'm saying this now because we're getting into the larger multi-crew ships, right? Will people, let's say TenthSigma's with me and we both happen to go to R-Corp and I want to purchase some stuff and I buy enough stuff that fills half my cargo area. Do you think CIG will consider that if Tenth is with me and he also wants to buy something, that he could buy stuff and also put it into my ship? Will that be a possibility? So that now there's a reason why both of us are in this ship. We both have something vested in this ship. He's not just a passenger riding, or he's not just a gunner. So now, even though he doesn't own a trading ship, he's able to benefit from that ship with me. Do you think CIG could ever get to that space where he's putting his stuff on my ship now? I know he can manually do that. He can manually load things. But can he go to a kiosk and fill up the other 20 SCU on my ship that's empty with his stuff? What do you think that could be a possibility?
maybe somewhere down the line. I don't see that at launch. Maybe I don't know. Somewhere down the line, I see that as a possibility. But I mean, as soon as you said he's gonna have access to your ship, I was thinking that in my head, I was thinking that you have your crew and you can list them as your crew and give them administrative
right,
like a forum or something like that, and he could have particular right that he could do that. But I don't know if that will be. Hopefully that'll be in game at launch. But I haven't heard anything about that.
I didn't think about that because they have talked about giving roles out, right? Giving people certain responsibility to take over certain aspects of the ship, and maybe cargo could become one of those things that says that 10th can now load the ship up for me while I'm doing. Matter of fact, maybe 10th can go load up the ship while I'm over doing something else, completely different, but it's still my ship. That's another factor because I know, like,
you're gonna make 10th do all that hard work.
Yeah, I'm gonna make him do all the work.
No,
right. But
I
like,
contract those things out, FC.
Right. Well, think about this. Like with the prospector, I've gone out and loaned the prospector out to people before, right? And I've popped up one and I've taken one. But when they loaded up the ship and finished mining, they couldn't sell the items because it was my ship, right? So yeah, maybe there will be this thing that grants permission that says whoever I grant permission to now can do any of the rights that I have with that ship. That would be awesome. So now that gives people a better role than, because someone mentioned earlier there are multiple MFDs on the ship that people can operate on. And true, I agree 100% for that. But I was just wondering whether or not, whatever the goal was of the ship, could your other players participate in that goal and not just be people who are riding, and maybe just doing gunning or whatever other case may be.
Well, along those same lines, just not to take up too much more time on it, but the idea that if we talked earlier in the chat about how sophisticated the game is, we would hope to have sophisticated pirates. I think someone mentioned, might have been J2, and I would love to see, not being a pirate myself, but if we talked about this before, if a pirate gets onto a ship, they might not want to destroy the ship, they might not want to take over the ship because they're wanted or whatever. They might want you to take the ship, to a place, grant them some permissions on your ship, kind of hold you hostage, and you call ATC, you do the landing, you do the deal. Right when the ship lands, you hand over those permissions. They go inside. They've had some extravagant, deal put together, and they're able to make the transactions on your ship. They don't have to. People aren't running their plates or running their deal. So I don't know. I don't know if that mechanic goes fits well, but if there's a permissioning system, I could see it happening both ways and it being a pretty fun deal.
From my cold dead hand. Yeah, that's the only way they're going to get my ship, right? Quinn said something here. He said, just set self-destruct. Now, they've talked about that. They've talked about that, Quinn. In case you haven't heard this, here's the rule about self-destruct. There is actually going to be an aspect where they're going to track when you self-destruct your ship with your insurance. And they're going to penalize you if you self-destruct your ship. That came out a while back because a lot of people were always saying that, well, I'll just blow my ship up and nobody gets it. But the reality of it is, if you self-destruct as well, you better make sure you're clear of it, because if you get killed, then your character is, with Death of a Spaceman, you may come back, you may not come back. So it'll cost them. That's true.
And imagine this for a penalty. If you self-destruct your ship, you lose LTI. I don't think they'll do that, but imagine them doing something like that.
Ooh, now that would be brutal. That would be brutal. Oh my God.
Oh, by the way, you asked me about the max. The max is listed at 122 units.
122. Okay, so we go from 66 to 122, so we double basically.
You need it on Discord.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. That's because I'm clicking on the program again. Okay, so we double our size if we go to the max. And the max is a very popular ship for folks who want to do trading, obviously. Let's go to the next one. The invisible, much desired constellation Taurus, which people are like, why isn't the Taurus out? It's the least complex of all of the constellations, and we haven't seen it yet. But the Taurus carries, and this was a question mark because they originally floated out the number of 96 SCU, but rumor has it that it's maybe going to be more than that, and it's going to challenge the max. So any thoughts on the constellation Taurus in particular, guys?
I own it. Go ahead.
No, I don't own it, so you go ahead, FC.
I own it. It's actually part of my physical package. When I first back in 2014, I got the Hornet and the 315P, but I melted them and got the physical package for the Taurus, Constellation Taurus, because it was the lowest cost ship that I had the silver box, as opposed to the green box. If people remember those.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I will keep it or CCU from it to something else, but I have it for now, and uh, yeah, I mean, it looked like it'll carry a lot, that's for sure. And it'll carry a lot more than the Mac, obviously. And it's that sweet spot where it costs like maybe $25 more than a Max, but it carries a significant more amount than compared to the Max. So yeah.
Yeah.
Tenth, do you think that there's some benefit with the ship because this thing still has firepower, right? I mean, it's got
Right.
turret, it's got missiles, it's got guns. Is this the ship that you take? That maybe when you're going into a tougher area, defensively, if you can't necessarily get escorts, what do you think?
I think it is. I think with what's already in the Constellation lineup,
Mm-hmm.
kind of at this point, really just excluding the Phoenix. So you're looking primarily at the Andromeda. Um, if you were to have some kind of balance between the Andromeda's firepower and then taking some of that firepower off to include more cargo, I think that's where they want to be with the Taurus. Someone said in the chat, I think it was Quinn, with the Phoenix is
88.
the
Mm-hmm.
if the Phoenix cargo is at a specific number, then you should be able the Taurus should have
Right.
more than that,
Right.
because it is purely designed for trading. So I think this is the piece that you take in with you. Again, I would like to just double underline the idea that this at this level, you're not soloing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this ship is meant for teams,
Mm-hmm.
to run run trade and run cargo, simply because that there's going to be, with the multi-crew gameplay aspect coming in, more each patch, um, you're going to need the support of other people to man those shields and the turrets, and to figure out routes of quantuming out of sticky situations. um, that's going to be important. But this ship it'll tick a lot of boxes for people,
Mm.
once it's fully realized. So I agree. I think it'd be a great
Now,
And
addition
to your
for.
point of
go ahead, Fast Car.
and to your point about the crew, I've always intended to be like the single PC, have a bunch of NPC on a ship like this, or the merchantman coming up. But yeah, you make a good point about crew.
Let me
Yeah.
throw this guys
Yeah.
at you too. This ship and the next ship we're going to look at also have something unique about them, and that's the aspect of smuggling. Um, is that a factor for this ship that makes it, the ship that people will want to buy versus some of the other ships? If you're doing some of the, more notorious kind of stuff, or going into certain areas, jurisdictions where obviously some things you have to be careful what you carry. Does that make this ship a little bit more of a prime, user for that?
The thing for me is that everyone knows about that smuggle base on the ship.
Right.
So any PC or player is going to that's going to be the first place they look, or if they bored or whatever. But as far as NPC goes, I can't imagine them being dumb enough or not intelligent enough to know that this ship had that aboard.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know they've talked about the scanning, that they want to make scanning that be at different levels too. There will be some scanners that can only detect so much, and then other ones that
Mhm.
can do a bit more. So it may be more, like you said, Fast Cart, maybe not an issue with human players, but maybe depending on with NPCs, some regions where they have the capability, much more populated, or areas like a Terra, for example, or like near New Babbage, where the technology is high, they can scan and possibly
Mm.
penetrate. Where in other areas, like a Pyro or other places, unless somebody physically looks there, they may not be able to detect it. Again, it's a mechanic that we don't have enough information about yet, but
Right.
the possibilities are there. And so, yeah, that's going to be the old Taurus. Hopefully, we're supposed to be seeing that so many times. It's been on the roadmap and moved and taken off and everything else. But, we'll see what happens with it. Let's go on to the next big baby here. Yeah. This is a favorite and a ship that could be considered possibly for trading. And I'm only throwing this one in because there have been a lot of people talking about the data running aspect of it, right? And that's where the aspect of trading is. I'm not, even though it does do some cargo and carry stuff, but it does have this dual side of trading information and trading physical cargo. So, Tenth, give me some thoughts on that one.
Listen, let me tell you this, Griff. The idea behind this is so ace. Like you can talk about the trading of physical goods, right? Like there will always be a need for physical goods. But I think that once we start introducing the brokering of information
Mm-hmm.
and the trading of that information for some kind of value, this ship is going to facilitate a lot of those trades. This thing, I have one in my fleet,
Mm-hmm.
and I am particularly interested in its ability to do exactly what you just said, the data running piece. Now I know we have on the Drake side of things, we have the Herald,
Mm-hmm.
which is super zippy, and very small. Just it's a smaller ship, but this thing is designed beautifully, and I think once we do have that implementation in, there's going to be a lot of. I'm really excited for how players and corporations, organizations will um, facilitate that trading. And I love the thing that kind of irks me about the picture here we're seeing with the Star Runner next to the C2 is
Mm-hmm.
is it to scale? Because I know we'll talk about the C2 a little bit later, but you know two Crusader ships in next to each other, awesome. But is the Star Runner that big compared to the C2? I don't know, but
Have you
Crusader
ever
having this ship in their lineup is going to be great. I think this is going to be one of the premier ships for that data running, trading, brokering of information type deals. Is going to facilitate a lot of that, which I think is great.
Mm-hmm. FC?
I do love the look of it. I don't have one. I probably get one in the PU using quick credit, in-game credits only. But I don't intend to get one right now. But I do love the look of it. But
Yeah.
data running is not my thing. And also the Terrapin also is a data runner, but I don't think they
Oh
can
yeah.
carry any cargo at all.
Yeah.
And actually, those two ships you guys mentioned are going to be on the honor roll list. We'll talk about those a little bit differently because they're not physically ships that we would think of, but there is going to be that career that Tenth referenced about information. So we will hit on that. Just to give you guys the data on this one, it is actually comparable to, well, the Taurus's numbers again. We think it's going to be much more than this, but it's 96 on this one, SCU, which is a decent amount of carrying. It also has a smuggling area. They've alluded to the fact that there is some area on the ship where things can be hidden. So I think, to your point, Tenth, this is kind of a best of both worlds ship,
Yep.
in the sense of being able to use it for both, and obviously, being able to sell information. Again, you could be hired for information too, so it could be treated as cargo. But the thing about this ship, I don't remember what the crew complement is on this. Is it 4? I think it is, because it's actually more than I thought it would be. It's something like minimum crew or crew size is 4 or something strange like that. I forget. Maybe somebody can give us the information on that. Who's in the
The
group?
Star Runner, right?
Yeah, Mercury
Yep.
Star Runner. Yeah. But it is a bigger ship, bigger than it looks. And in fact, when we did Invictus, we saw that they did the rework on it because the ship actually has 2 levels. There's an upstairs and a downstairs. And then we know there's that graded area that they talked about in the back where the CPUs are. So it is a decent sized ship. I agree. Tenth, that was one of the early concept drawings for when the ship first came out, and we know that they've done a rework on it. So whether that size is real, I don't know. It is a pretty photo, next to a C2, granted, and we're going to get to the C2 in a little bit as well. But that's another one.
Max 3 people.
3. Okay, so it's 3. Okay, alrighty. Moving on. Boom. we are cycling our way back to the Misk Hull series ships, and we're at the Hull B. This one gets a little bit more size to it. And again, the Hull B and the Hull A are the two ships that can land planet side. I don't know if the Hull B can land planet size with cargo. I don't think it can. I think it can only if you don't put anything on the bottom, probably.
Right.
But,
if you don't put anything on the bottom, but you have the two on the side, the one on top, it should be fine.
Exactly. Hull B's capacity. Now, guys, this is where the numbers really get interesting. Now you go from 96 with the Star Runner to 384. Much bigger number. Much bigger number. And
if you divide that by 4 and multiply by 3, you have the three sides and top instead of for the one at the bottom.
Right. Absolutely. Here, I've got to start wondering, what are you carrying personally? Because that's a lot of, stuff, right? I mean, it's a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, for those entrepreneurial people who will be moving into taking cargo, not trading seriously, because obviously there are other ships that carry even more. But again, we talked about the defensive capability. We talked about the hulls. This seems like the ship that you graduate to from the Hull A, but it's a big graduation. Hull A is a 48, and this goes to 384. Any thoughts on the Hull B, or is it just like the next step for people? What do you think?
Well, Warhawk says in chat, he says, what are we carrying? Well, you're carrying, Dingleberry says scrapping waves. Warhawk says ore from mining, or from outposts. I think this ship is designed with the entrepreneur coming from the Hull A who has a prospector who might at the same time with enough funds upgrade a prospector to an Argo or a mole, or might supplement a mole to their fleet, and might figure out that we need a place to start expanding their business by saying we need more space to actually haul this stuff.
Right.
And so again, at this point, again, you're not solo. You can't be in all these ships at the same time by yourself.
Right.
You're doing these with friends. But I think the distinction, Griff, that I'll make with this is that many corporations, I keep saying organizations, might have like fleets and kind of this structure where there's ownership at the top but workers at the bottom. These are really for the small groups that are all profit sharing from these runs, and you as you put it into this deal, you're getting out what an even cut would be as part of a deal. And so groups might, if it's FC, Griff, and 10th, they're pulling their funds together, and we help our little org upgrade to a mole or upgrade to a B. We're gonna pull out of these runs, that even slate of ownership, based on the percentages that we've put in, what we can, how we can profit from around. So that's what I'm thinking of.
If I'm in an org with Griffin and Tent, I'm going to count myself lucky, because that's a lot of lucky stuff that I'm going to have at my disposal.
Right.
Oh, God. Quinn, thank you for the subscription, 1 month. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let me toss this as a point here. If some of you have heard, CIG has been talking about these 2 new things they want to add into the game. One of them being the cargo decks. And they've told us that ships like this that have the cargo containers, you will be able to have these ships unloaded. Let's say, for example, to Tent's point, as a group, this is your personal stuff, right? This is stuff that you've earned through mining or whatever the case may be. The cargo decks serve a different purpose as well. They also can serve as a place to store things as well. And you will be able to store maybe your 300 and some odd SCU of stuff at, let's say, Hurston, right? Some orbital or someplace like that. Because at some point you're watching the market over in Terra where the price for these items is slowly going up, and you may opt to say, I'm going to sit it out and wait and see what happens in the market before I take this stuff and go do my trading and sell it. And so there is going to be these cargo boxes that we've seen on these whole series, and we saw this with the SRV when we showed how the SRV would be moving boxes around like at a freight yard. These containers are going to be stored at these places, and you'll still have your stuff on them. You're not selling it or anything. You're just keeping it there for whatever length of time is you need. I'm sure we'll have to pay some money to have it stored, but
Yeah, right.
ultimately you can store things there, and when you need to move them, then later on and do the trading, you can do that. So I'm curious to see how that mechanic's going to work out, because they've talked about the fact that these cargo boxes, if you guys remember, they said that if you had to take each item of SCU and make boxes, it would be thousands of items, and they can't do that in a game. They've got to make one box represent a certain amount. Maybe one box represents 100 SCU. That's how they're going to have to work it out, and that's how that math's going to work out. Fastcart?
The other thing about the whole B or the whole series in particular is that I'm hoping that you'll be able to use them as an advertising board, because you have those LEDs things on the side and the top, or maybe top and bottom too. So you could generate some income with it from advertising. So who
Yeah,
knows?
maybe. Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely, absolutely. And I would say too that if you could, if they could implement some kind of futures trading into this deal, that would
Oh,
be
here we
amazing.
go. Here we go. Mr. Wall
Yeah.
Street starting up. Oh boy, here we go.
I just hope. I just hope. One can cross your fingers, you know. But if I have my stuff sitting on the cargo deck and I can get a price for it and sit there and right when
And
it
watch
times
it,
to
just watch
execute,
it go up. Yeah, I know. That's all you're waiting
yeah,
on. I know you was sitting back with your little brandy in your hand
very
and
cool.
watching the numbers go. Okay. All right. So we're moving on to our next ship now, and this is a popular ship, the Drake Caterpillar. This has become like a workhorse ship, especially for people who've been doing trading in the game, right? I mean, folks, if this is like the ship
Mhm.
that they right now say when you're making money is when you're able to fully load a cat and run some laranite in it, right, or whatever other item it may be. The Caterpillar is a unique ship. Yeah, it can be used for cargo. Again, we're keeping it within the context of trade if you're selling stuff that's yours. But the Caterpillar, as you guys know, is modular. And ultimately, they want to be able to make it so that you can swap out the different areas of the ship for different things. But right now, the configuration is strictly for carrying stuff, right? Carrying items to do some form of
Mhm.
trade. Um, Fastcart, let me hit you first this time around on the Caterpillar. What are your feelings about this ship? Vulnerabilities? Is it a great ship? Do you definitely need security with it? Can it defend itself? What do you think?
It's not a ship I own. One of the few cargo ones I do not own.
Mm-hmm.
When it came out, I forgot why it didn't interest me or why I didn't purchase it. But I just what is the cargo capacity on this one? Do
Ooh,
you have it?
sorry. Yeah, this was another big jump. The hull B was 384. We now move up to 576.
576. I think I was comparing the different cargo capacity with different ships, and the price to cargo didn't appeal for me for this particular for the Caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's Drake.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, but seriously, just the SU performance didn't appeal to me for at the time when it came out.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, got you. 10th. Any
Yeah,
thoughts?
I'd say that one of the things that is interesting for I think we lost you, Griff. Sound right.
Yeah,
I'm
you said
sorry.
something we
Yep,
didn't
10th.
hear
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 10th. I was just saying your thoughts on it.
Okay, yeah. No, I think I don't own a Caterpillar as well, but I know a lot of people strive towards it because of its capacity, and what it can haul. And now it has become a workhorse as people have learned more how to trade efficiently, how to get up, scale up very fast with the wipes and the different patches.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great ship. But I do think that if you move to this thing too fast, or if you graduate it too fast, say from a Cutlass Black or a freelancer or anything like that, it's going to your upkeep costs are going to hurt you more than it's going to benefit you in the end. You might look at that and say, "Oh man, 500 plus, SCU," but again, the fuel is a component or variable that you have to consider when you're doing this deal, you might not you might not have a positive net income when it's all said and done. You know, you spent more money on fuel than you have on actually the money you could afford to spend on cargo, right?
Right.
So it's all considerations, but if you can get to this ship and you're maxing out, you're a freelancer, you're black, and it's time to go up, I think this is a perfect ship to move towards, because it does have it has those turrets, it has some firepower, it can get you through some jams. But I think that you have to be ready for it.
Malchieri, I hope I said your name correctly. Thank you for the follow. Let me throw this guys at you guys because there are aspects of the game that have not been impacting us yet that in theory we've heard about, but they haven't been implemented into the mechanics. One of them just recently did get implemented, and that was the fact that when ships are now leaving atmosphere, there are some ships that are much more difficult to pull out of atmosphere than others. One of the things that they have not completely calculated into the game will be ship weight. How much stuff are you carrying, and will that impact you? So yeah, right now it's great to load up your ship and max it out, and you just fly right out of the atmosphere, right? But eventually, this lends to itself to Tent's point about fuel, right? What happens when your fuel costs, not just because of travel, but even when you're entering atmosphere, you're burning fuel like crazy so that you don't literally get pulled into the ground with all the hundreds of $1,000s, or not dollars, but UEC of stuff that you have. Ex nihilo omnia. Forgive me if I slaughtered your name. Thank you for the follow. Um, what are the things that we're going to have to start thinking about when we start moving into these bigger ships? Because you mentioned, Tent, you said you got to be careful about jumping to these bigger ships because operating costs change versus when you're in these smaller freelancer size ships or even constellation size ships. Cats are getting bigger now. Fastcart, what do you think? Are these things going to be where this is definitely going to give excuse for people to stay up at docking stations versus going down to planet side?
Yeah, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna say people are gonna keep that big ships in space, or maybe at a station, and take their smaller ships to like a hull or a Mac, and just and make multiple runs that way. Because the fuel cost to get your big ship off the planet is not efficient or not worthwhile.
Yeah. And trading is going to be, just so you guys will know, they've talked about the fact that eventually trading and cargo, there will be load times tied into these ships as well. So the bigger the ship you are, the more stuff you have on the ship. Guess what? That's how much more time you're down. Not
Same. Yep.
we're going to start thinking about that. We joked around about this a few weeks ago, and we talked about there's a reason why there are bars and restaurants all over the place. These social areas. It's not just so they look pretty, but they're there because they may tell you when you're unloading a cat, we need 20 minutes, 30 minutes before we can load you up. And so, are you going to just stand there at the kiosk, or are you going to meet your friends over at M&V's and have a beer, right, for a little bit and talk about what's going on? Any thoughts, guys, on that?
I love it. I think that once that's implemented too, that it'll be provide some more immersion into the game. I think that the prisoner says in chat, the reputation system for bigger jobs, right? Like if you might if you're at a hub and there's some jobs there that you can trade with for yourself, and it's from companies that you have that rep with, you might get pushed up in the priority queue. Like, oh, Griff is here. Okay, let's get him loaded up. He's one of he's on one of those VIP lists. Let's get him out of here. Versus someone who's just trying to hey, we can get you taken care of. There's a couple people behind you in the queue. In front of you in the queue, I should say. So
Or
those kind of
maybe,
things would be cool.
or maybe you could bribe the cargo people to put you out of
Right.
here.
Grease
Yeah.
the palm a little
Yeah.
bit. Hey, who knows? I mean, who knows? They may build some weird
Yeah.
mechanic in that allows you to do that, to expedite your order, some weird way. You have some weird conversation that allows you to him to ask you, well, what are you willing to do? You know what I mean? And you got to drop him a few extra, UEC to get your ship a little bit
Credit. Yeah.
faster. That would be very cool to
Oh,
put something like that in.
Very cool.
I just thought of something. Like I said, how you might want to make multiple trips in a smaller ship to make it to your bigger ship and pay. This is lousy planning, by the way, because you don't want to do this in practice. But if you know that you're going to make just one stop, you can take your caterpillar down to the planet. If you know you're going to come back empty, because that won't be. That won't add to your fuel cost.
Right.
But you want to, if you're gonna do what you want to do is like have a plan, like sell something here and buy something at the same place, then sell what you just bought and take it to a different place and repeat the process. You got to keep your income keep going. So you don't want to ever leave a planet empty if you're trying to make a profit.
Yeah, makes sense. Downfall. Thank you for the follow. Okay, so that's the caterpillar for all you piratey folks out there. Even though Drake is trying to clean up its image. Sorry, that's for all you piratey folks out there. Drake's trying to clean up their image. They're not just about pirates anymore. So they say. So let's go on to the next one here, and we graduate. We graduate here. Back to Crusader. And 10th, I don't know how you feel about Crusader. I love Crusader Industry stuff. They're probably my next favorite group outside of Origin. I just like the uniqueness of what they do. I'm a big Starliner and all of the Starlifter fan. Now, this is a different level because this has kind of been presented. They've got 3 different versions of this ship, right? The A2, the C2, and the M2. The C2 is the one that has the largest cargo capacity. We're talking about moving from 576 with a Caterpillar to 624. This ship has been shown in the sense of it carrying vehicles, cargo, it's kind of like a universal ship. Any thoughts and feelings about this when it comes down to trade? Is this really a practical ship for doing trade, or is it just got more space? I mean, it's got a big footprint. It's a big ship.
Big deal.
Yeah, you can't even land at some of the smaller bases with this thing.
I think this ship. So first off, I agree. Like Crusader is, I have all Crusader ships. Like I love Crusader. Is my second pick after Origin, and the C2 specifically. For me, if you look at it as a trading ship, I think this is for your entrepreneurs or groups. Syndicates, whatever you would like to call it, not necessarily orgs, although orgs could use it, but in the vein of our discussion today, these are for people that trade in, you mentioned one part, Griff, vehicles or kind of machinery or just like huge appliances, things that are very large. I don't see a C2 being full of ore boxes. I see a C2 being full of like ballistas and novas and gray cats and rocks, and all this kind of stuff where you might trade this for as part of your own inventory, maybe. I mean, now that it's very capital intensive at this point, and the C2 is going to facilitate those capex, right? The capital expenditures. It's a capital expenditure for your syndicate, for your group, because this thing is huge. So I would see it as a ship that you got to know what you're buying, and you got to know how you're going to use it, because at this point, operational costs are going to be through the roof. Your margins aren't going to be. You got to really look at your margins there to make sure that you're not going to go over. If you pick up one extra Nova, for X amount of cost, what's that going to do for your transportation of it? So, yeah, I love it. But again, for me, it's going to be part of a bigger solution, not just for me jumping in this deal and being like, let's haul some stuff. That's not going to be the place for me for this one. I think it's going to be part of a more ops related type of deal. And even with some of the pictures you can see, I think the other picture had the C2 landed, and you can see some tanks coming off of the ramp there. So it's definitely going to be something that could be useful for orgs, and kind of set up that way. But at this point, trading your own assets, that's going to be a big deal. You're going to be a big whale in the verse to get that going.
Fastcart, any thoughts about the C2?
Yeah, I remember seeing this when it first came out, and I didn't get it for the price or something, but yeah, I'm seeing it again just now. I'm amazed at how big this thing is, and I'm interested in it, but I'll probably wait until it goes into the PU until I can buy it in the PU. I don't think I'll spend US dollars on it, but it's a beautiful ship, and I love the design, and hopefully, what is the cargo unit on this thing?
Let's see. Give me 1 second. The size on this is 624 over 576 with the Caterpillar. 624.
Yeah.
And this is $360, and the Caterpillar is
$275, I think, for the cat.
$295.
Oh, $295. Woo! Oh boy, yeah.
Out there. Yep.
So yeah, there's.
I mean,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like that when you compare the cargo units compared to the price, if you need a beefy shit that can take a punch, yeah, this one's for you. But if you want particularly for cargo, there's probably better choices out there or trading.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead. We're going to move into a whole different category here now, gang. Boom. Very popular. Let's talk a little bit about this because let's talk about this one because this ship has moved us into a whole nother category.
Oh yeah.
I I don't even know what to say about this ship.
Right?
Well, partially, I love what they've said about the privateer. Right? What it's supposed to be able to do, but it also created a lot of controversy, particularly with people who owned Banu merchantmen, because there were a lot of people who felt like all the great things that they wanted to hear about the Banu all of a sudden got shifted to the privateer, and even the size of cargo that there people were worried about. Fastcart, let's start with you with the privateer. Give us some thoughts and what you heard and what you think about the privateer.
When I first heard about it, I was very interested. I was like, okay, this is going to be a step up from the merchantman. I can't wait to find out more about it. Give me more info. Give me more info. It's how much? Oh, I'm just going to keep my merchantman. That's okay. I'll keep my merchantman. We're cool.
Yeah.
No, and it was like, yeah, to your point, yeah. So some of the stuff that they said about the merchantman did move to the privateer, but I mean, for the price that they're charging for the privateer, it's like, that's definitely an old ship. I mean, I know there are people who bought it for solo. So I don't know how you're going to solo that ship. More power to you if you can get that to work. But yeah, this is definitely an old ship in my opinion.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. I was in the market for a ship like the Banu. I had my eye on a merchantman for a while. I didn't pick it up when it had been on sale. When a lot of people scooped theirs up. When I saw this at SitCon, when it was offered at SitCon last year, or at the anniversary sale, I should say, last year, I scooped it up, and the reason for it is because it will facilitate the trade, like it is the trading hub. Like this will be a trading hub of wares that you procure in the verse that you can sell out of your own area. I think there's like 10 shops you could put into this deal.
Sure.
And it's just it has everything that's needed to be the ship to be a Kraken that sells. Of course, it's not at this point. You will have like the owner of a Kraken, but you're also considering labor costs at this point, because to have people to be inside of your ship and selling and moving and security and anything you can think of in terms of running this operation, which is exactly what it is, you're gonna have to really have some deep pockets. And so I think the theme chat that you're seeing as we go forward is you can move from, you know, slinging your own boxes and making your own routes and selling your own stuff to this whole massive thing where you will need the help of other people and some pretty deep pockets to get to where you want to be, especially if you're a trader. And a lot of these ships will facilitate that. As far as the Banu merchantman is concerned, the thing that drew me to the Kraken over the merchantman was just I'm not a huge fan of alien ships. I think they're designed beautifully. I liked them, but I just didn't want to spend any money, and that was what was keeping me from the merchantman. If the merchantman had been put in any other like non-alien ship manufacturer, I would have scooped that up easy, and this Kraken kind of would have been a second thought. You know, like oh my, kind of like what you said, FC. Like this thing is in the 4 digits, you know, and I'm not going to be spending that kind of money. But I was looking for something like this, and when they mentioned it, it's like, well, the price is huge, but I wanted something like that, and I don't think that this is the offering on the non-alien side, and so I scooped it up. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I'm just not an alien ship fan, and I like how this is designed. Now I think we have a while to see what actually comes of this. So I think I'll keep my eye on it, but yeah, it's a big one.
Griffin, is the measurement coming up?
Yes, we're still progressing. We're still progressing our way up. Kimmy mentioned some good things here, and I want to throw out a controversial piece in relation to these two ships. The privateer runs what, $2,000? It was like $1,800, $2,000. Do you guys remember what the price was?
$1,650. Privateer. Oh, never mind.
The privateer.
I'm talking about the Kraken.
Yeah, the privateer. Right. It's expensive, right? What's the price on it now?
I tried looking up. I can't. It's not on the ship upgrade.
I want to say it was $2,000 because I remember my friend Nihilus was looking to buy one. And some of you guys in chat, maybe you all remember. So maybe someone owns one, could tell us what the price is on that ship. But I know it's more than $1,800. I know that for a fact. Okay. Now here's the controversial. It's 2,000. Quinn says. Okay. So here's the controversy. Banu Merchantman, I've got one in my buyback right now for $250, right? Yeah. So that's a huge price difference, $1,750 price difference. Will the Banu Merchantman's price, which we know it has already changed once, will it change again? Will it become more comparable? Now, mind you, we've only seen one time where there's been a real big price jump. And that was Andy927. Thank you for the follow. Doc GRN Grun. Thank you for the follow. I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge you earlier as well. Here's my question. When the 890 jump came out, it was $600, right? It jumped up to $950. That was a pretty significant jump. I think we've had maybe something else, like maybe with the Idriches, something else jumped price-wise. How far can they push the merchantman in price? If it was starting at $250, what's the most they could ask for that ship? And that makes it challenge and makes it challenge the privateer, because they both are supposed to do some similar things, right? You're supposed to have the shops in them where you can set up NPCs, where you can stock your stores. But the Banu merchantman technically has more space in it, if I'm not mistaken. The Banu merchantman, now, and these numbers may be wrong, guys, because I heard they were going to adjust the merchantman's numbers, but posted numbers were 768 for the privateer. Now, that's interesting because it's much less cargo space than the Kraken. It's a significant difference. But I don't know if that's because of the stores. Maybe that's the reason why. The cargo is separate.
Stores, perhaps.
Yeah, the stores have a certain amount of cargo space.
And you can land ships on top of the Kraken.
Yeah, that's true. But you could do that on the privateer too, can't you?
Yeah.
Doesn't the privateer?
I take Kraken. I mean both of them.
Oh, yeah, right. On both of them, right.
On both of them.
So, but the trading.
So you have to count that in when you talk about cargo for the Kraken.
But they also talked about the fact that the stores had a certain amount of storage area in each of them too, and I forget what that number was. There's a certain amount of SEU each store can hold for items that you sell. Old Tiny, thank you for the follow. Dark Ount, thank you for the follow as well. So again, the merchantman's still cheaper. Now, you know what the difference is in size? The posted size for the merchantman is 3,584 as far as storage space, where the SCU, where the privateer is 768. So the privateer costs $1,700 more in cash, but the merchantman is only 350, or how much is the merchantman now? $400 or something like that?
No, 350.
It's 350. Okay, so still even so 350. Yeah, but it's got more cargo space in it, and they both serve as trading ships.
I don't trust the number for the merchantman at all.
Okay,
so the listed number,
which lends itself to my next question: are merchantman people going to flip because they said that they were going to adjust the numbers on the merchantman? Are they going to flip over that? I mean, if it's a significant cut in size.
In my opinion, it'll still be better. People who bought it for $250 price, we got a steal. We got an excellent deal on the merchantman. So any of us who bought it at that price, we're gonna be happy no matter what. No matter what happens, how it turns out, because it's gonna be definitely gonna be bigger than what we thought it was gonna be. Like like if I bought it at $250 and I thought it was gonna be so and so SCU and it upped it to whatever SCU, that's a deal in my opinion. But compared to the Kraken, I mean, I see the Kraken more as an org ship.
You mean the privateer?
And the merchantman as a maybe a small org or maybe even a single person ship.
You're talking about the privateer now. You said the Kraken. You mean the privateer?
Privateer, yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure we have the right ship here. Okay.
Yeah, I said Kraken. I'm in privateer. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Yeah, no
but
problem.
yeah, I see the Kraken privateer as an org ship, and the merchantman more as a single player or a smaller org ship. So I mean.
Now, let me throw.
But for the listed number for the merchantman, I don't know what it's going to be. I can't even begin to guess what the final number is going to be for the cargo wise. Okay. But as far as price wise, I don't see them going above $450.
Okay.
For when I actually release it. That's just my guess. I'm probably will be wrong.
Okay. Tenth, let me throw this at you then. If fastcart's estimation is, let's say, $450, $500 at the max that they decide to push that price up, and we always know when ships actually come from concept to ready to fly, the price increase happens. So we know it's going to happen, right? But Tenth, here's my thing.
Right.
The Banu Merchantman, according to lore, and Kimmy alluded to this earlier as well, according to lore, it is their capital ship. That is their ship that they turn into their battle cruiser when they go to war. It has a dual purpose. It is a formidable ship. It's a blockade runner. It has special technology in it that allows it to do jumps and not be intersected. What do you call it? What's the word?
Interdicted.
Interdicted.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff about this ship that's out there. Plus, if you have a Banu ship in the lore, there will be places you can go and do trade that you cannot go do with the privateer, right? So there are all these other advantages to that ship that the privateer doesn't necessarily have. Plus, they also alluded to the fact that both the Kraken and privateer, they still are built, Drake built, if you know what I mean. In other words, they ain't necessarily all that sturdy, right? I mean, comparison to maybe Aegis or Anvil ships. The parts for repair are going to be cheaper. It's not necessarily the best in manufactured as far as the ship itself goes. So, is there trade-offs here? People have paid $2,000 for this ship. Is it, is it living up to, you can do all this stuff with it, but it seems to me that it has some vulnerabilities versus a Idris, right? That's a cheaper price ship. That's much more sturdier. Right. You've got the storage and the selling and all that good stuff. Obviously, that's good. But the Banu Merchantman is a tough ship. It is a cap class ship for the Banu. So, again, Tenth, what do you think about these differences? Or is CIG going to have to resolve them in a better way, or are they going to let those differences exist?
Well, I think there has to be some addressing of the discrepancy. I know that I feel as though the offering of the privateer was a way to, again, put a trading type capital type vessel with trading capabilities solely into the non-alien manufacturing field, right? So the first offering is, hey, we got this privateer, let's put it out for the $1,700, $2,000 that we did it for. Now, that I believe that price they put it at was based on they're not doing kind of a direct correlation between let's look at the BMM and then see how we can, that'll be our guiding star for the price. I think that price was set somewhat arbitrarily against the backdrop of all the other ships that they were producing that were, $500+ so they're saying, let's see if we put this out here for the 1700. And again, I bite, other people bite, like people bite, so there again, we're just saying like these ships will sell. But now this, because it was sold at the 1700 price point, you can't go, you're not backing down off of that, so now you're going to have to bring these ships into some kind of balance. Again, what I appreciate about the Banu Merchantman is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, or guys. What I remember reading about the Banu Merchantman was that it's part of a long lineage inside of the Banu race, right? Like it's just it's not just some kind of ship, right? It has some prestige to it. It's handed down from generation. It's handed down. That's exactly it. Yeah, and that that's pretty cool, versus the Kraken, which just seems like an offering of industry and utility by Drake, So again, I think that's a big discrepancy in the lore, which may, as they consider the two deals, they'll figure out how to bring into balance their operational capacity, right? I think the Banu Merchantman they should start with, and then they tweak the privateer based on how trade is forming. Don't forget about Quanta as the external component, on how where you'll trade and what you'll trade, and then you'll have some you have that balance that we were just talking about there, but. All said, the Kraken, again, a big org ship, industrial kind of
Kraken
operation.
or privateer now? Which one, Kraken or privateer?
Excuse me, privateer.
Okay.
Industrial operation,
now, there's a reason. Now, let me stop
trading
you right
and
there.
That kind of deal.
Let me stop you because there's a reason why I clarified that. Because if you remember, when the Kraken did come out, there were a lot of people who did have that attitude about the Kraken. They said, this is going to be our org base. We're going to sell out of it. We're going to do everything, right? And that was the dream of a lot of people. Then the privateer comes out. Not only does it come out at more cost than the Kraken does. And so my question to you and fastcart is the price increase because you can make money with this ship where the Kraken necessarily was not designed to make money? Does that make sense? In other words,
I can see it.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The reason why you're paying more money for this is because you're going to make money with it. Where people were trying to force that upon the Kraken, where the Kraken was much more of a battleship, aircraft carrier, right? And people were like, yeah, we can take this and, we can sell our stuff from it. But it seems like now the privateer is kind of stealing a little bit of that thunder from the Kraken, Fast
you said the alien tax for the alien ship. I think the Kraken had like a merchandising tax or something like a salesman tax because people will make money from it. Something else I wanted to touch on. I was going to try to wait until you get to the merchantman.
Well, we'll go there. We'll go there now. Sure, go ahead and talk. Bring it in.
Okay, so there's this picture. You probably saw it when the merchantman comes up. But there's this picture of the merchantman sitting on a platform or a landing, and they're surrounded by people around it, and they look tiny compared to the merchantman itself. When that concept art came out, people were saying, "Oh, this is gonna be Idris size. It's gonna be huge," because people were trying to approximate the size of the merchantman compared to the people around it. That's a good picture too. But but Disco Lando or Jared Huckabee had to come out and say it's not going to be Idris size, guys. That is a specific quote from CIG about the size of the ship. So it'll be bigger than what they intended to be, but it won't be that big. And a lot of Polaris owners were angry when that new concept art came out too, because they were saying, "Oh, this is gonna be bigger than the Polaris," and I'm like, It maybe we don't know. It'll grow in size, but until it actually comes out, I'm not really holding my breath as to what the exact size will be. It will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Iron Lion, thank you, thank you for the follow. And to your point, most of the images you guys are seeing obviously are concept drawings. Some of these are fan art, but most of this is CIG artwork. And we really don't know what the size of the ship is going to be. We do know historically, and you said this earlier, Tenth, that the Banu Merchantman was one of the early concept ships. This is before they had all the metrics designed for, humans and all, the ship, all that stuff. There was no design metrics for manufacturers when this stuff came out. They just had concepts of an artist drawing, and that was it. And so far, historically, all those ships that came out of those earlier days, the Starfarer, any of those ships have all grown in size. The Orion, they've grown in size when they finally become flight ready. So the assumption is that the Banu Merchantman is probably going to fall into that same category where it is going to grow in size. One of the things of this ship that they do highlight, and if you notice, they don't show very many shots of this ship in space. Most of the ships that they show on the ground. And as you guys know, the Banu in lore, their thing is about trade. It's going from different place to different place, acquiring items, selling them in other places. This has always been the dream ship for those people who want to be that type of entrepreneur. But again, I want to go back to the fact that this is a monster ship. It is a big ship. And I keep hearing people speak in the individual, the singular. Yeah, I'm going to fly my Banu Merchantman and I'm going to load it up and I'm going to. Yes. And I'm like, yeah, really, you and what army? This is no small ship. So give me some feedback when we start growing into these bigger ships like the privateer. I know there's going to be the aspect of NPCs, and I get it in the sense of them managing the stores. But you still got to have people who can protect. Will the defenders be necessary to help defend this ship? What's the scoop with that when it comes to operating costs of these big behemoth ships?
Yeah, you're not doing this by yourself. Absolutely. Like you have made I think when you get to these ships, the last few ships we discussed, you have made a name for yourself in the verse that people want to do business with you, either working for you or working with you, and you have to have the pockets to support the infrastructure that you've put in place with your ships, your routes, and where you go and what you sell, et cetera, et cetera. So even if you did decide to put blades in, the NPCs in at certain aspects, that is still going to cost you. But there's not going to be a replacement for having. I think we talked about this before, Griff. When your engine room is out, sending an NPC down there versus sending a player down there that could actually tell. Like before things start getting crazy, having somebody stationed there before all that starts going down, you're not going to be able to replace that social interaction, which is going. And again, for all your entrepreneurs out there, when you have a BMM or a privateer or any of these big ships that are designed for trading, the assumption is that you want to be social with a lot of different people. Like I'm going to trade with this person, I'm going to go to this system and trade with these people, I'm going to be with this org, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. There's some level of interaction that you're going to have, and you're not pulling off this thing by yourself. And I don't think it's designed to. You could do a lot of things by yourself, but to get into these types of ships, you're going to need a little bit of help.
Do you think anybody will use a ship like this as a Trojan horse? In other words, there's some org someplace, and I'm coming to trade, see if you guys need to buy some stuff. And then you open the cargo doors, like, 50 troops or 100 troops come rolling out of this sucker. Is that a possibility? I mean, you're going in with a Banu capital. I hate to put that out there. I should have kept that idea to myself, but I'm just kind of curious,
But the problem is that people can scan this ship. But I saw someone earlier said that the measurement is supposed to be impenetrable to scan. So the measurement may be a good option for something like that. But they may be so rare, not rare, but so hard to get once the game come out, that if you want to buy it using UEC, you may have to have a certain amount of backing with the venue or whoever in order before you're able to get the chance to buy one. And then the price will probably be so astronomical in game, it'll still take you that much longer to get it. So
Okay.
I don't think they're going to be used in that fashion too often.
Okay. So here's a question I'm going to toss out to you guys. And for those of you in the chat, we'd love to hear your thoughts about this question I'm going to ask. When we talked about trade, Tenth mentioned earlier, for example, when we talked about data running, we saw information as being a form of trade. What will be some things that players will be able to use a ship like the Banu or like the privateer, because we know the privateer can land on a surface. What will people want to buy from you as a player that they don't just go get for themselves? What's going to make trade make sense in the game? And I don't know what that is. I honestly don't. But when you go to someone's, some org or whatever they are, some homestead, what are people going to want to buy from you that they wouldn't just go get for themselves? Any ideas?
Yeah, so I understand you. I get your point exactly, Griff. And I think the thing is, it's going to be, before you can even answer that question, it's going to be based on location, right? If I try to land this thing, 7 miles away from the nearest, hub, I better be selling something that is, or I might have, I might try to compete on lower price, but if I land this thing in a homestead, I'm bringing at cost, or maybe a little bit above cost if you're that type of trader. I'm bringing basic necessities, medical supplies, food and rations, things like this on a consistent basis, right? So you're trying to figure out, based on your location, what your trading strategy is. If you're trying to arbitrage or if you're trying to make a market somewhere, it's going to be where you decide to do that, and then the wheres, right? So even before you set this thing down, you're either your BMM or your privateer. Before you set that thing down, you're doing a lot of canvassing. You're doing a lot of research. You're trying to understand what the needs are in that space. And I think, as I understand it, the brokering of information will be instrumental in doing that. Your explorers who are charting the stars and planets and stuff like that to bring, and then you buy those maps from TDD or whatever the case would be to figure out where these places are and where you can go in and where you can sell stuff. That could be an option for you. But then after that, just saying, all right, well, we're going to go in, we're going to sell these kinds of things to these kinds of people and try to make the market that way. But the cool thing about both is that trading information, right, will be, I believe, one of those things where it's kind of like, you might hop onto a privateer, or you might hop onto a bandit merchantman, and you might say, I'm here to buy the such and such things, or 5 med packs and 6 stems, and that might be code for, let me talk to the nearest person who can give me some data on something I'm looking for. Like, I'm willing to pay, stuff like that, just kind of fantastical things that are just in my head. But it could be an opportunity to not only do, and I think that's what the privateer is about, having been made by Drake, your shops in the front, and then your 2 kind of off the grid shops in the back, or on the lower levels, so something along those lines.
Well, the prisoner is going into the Star Trek realm of Harry Mudd, saying women for lonely miners. But people will sell all types of things. Go ahead, Fastcart. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say, if you come into the store with a pico beside you, that's the code to your special customer. You can be shown the special items.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why I'm asking that is because, again, someone mentioned this earlier, and Kimmy's mentioning a lot of good things here, such as ammo, food, supplies, armor. But I think that the aspect of trade is going to be, what can you sell someone that they can't get on their own? That becomes the issue. You know what I'm saying? Because, there are certain things that maybe you have to go all the way to the GOS system to buy that cannot be bought in Stanton, cannot be bought in Pyro, cannot be purchased. And so those items, for me now, if I say, well, I can just go up and get this so and so if I take my cell phone over to Hurston myself. But if you've decided to jump 8, systems, and you're bringing me this stuff, then that's going to really say, hey, wow, I've never seen that before. Where'd you get this? Oh, we picked this up over in so and so. Now, there's a reason for me to want to buy from you. But again, to your points, Tenth, there are going to be those regular necessities that people are just going to want to buy to save themselves a trip. Fastcart, we're going to say.
I have an endeavor, and my plan in the verse is to use my endeavor to manufacture or alter component or overclock them, and using the super collider and stuff like that, and then use my merchantman to sell those overclock components.
Absolutely.
So and I'm gonna be min maxing and everything like that. So if you want a specific statistic for your component or shield or cooler or whatever, you can come to me and I'll have it.
Yep.
As opposed to trying to get a generic one from an NPC on some planet.
That makes sense. Components, items like that you, like you said, you can't find them anyplace else that you can purchase them. There's a lot of opportunity here, and people are going to have to be very imaginative. And CIG will also have to be just as imaginative too, to drive people to do trade at that level. What's going to make it worth the risk of me going places. I'm even thinking about, like, with the Pioneer with base building, right? There are going to be certain materials, raw materials that they'll need. So maybe as a trader, I go out and acquire those items, and where there's a base being built, I come in and land in my trading ship, hopefully a large one, and say, hey, I've got some of these materials that are pretty hard. You can't find them. They're scarce here, but I did pick them up over in this asteroid belt, and I saw, bought the stuff there, and I bring it. There's a lot of ways that we can do trade in the game. Let's jump into something real quick. I know we touched on it a little bit, the Herald and the Terrapin. Data. Let's talk a little bit about what can people do with trading for data. What are some things that we think will be viable for data? And the Star Runner falls into this category too, obviously. But those are the honor roll ships, the Herald and the Terrapin. They don't have a lot of, in fact, they have 0 cargo space when you look at their listing. But they do have something of value. Go ahead, Tenth, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I think that being able to trade information is going to be huge. So what kind of information are you going to be brokering? Well, it could be locations of, rare materials. It could be, if you're in like the arms business, right? Like, locations of, wares or factories that are off the grid that are producing some of that. Like you were saying, what I think of is the information that's bespoke. So FC, when you say I'm selling or components that are specially made, I'm imagining you're going to want a certain type of customer, right? Like you're not going to want everybody just coming through your shop. And that's going to be some of the information that I think you could broker. This is in addition to like what Quinn was saying, bounty data, like if somebody knows, where a location of a bounty is, to, sharing that. Yeah. But it has to be more encompassing so that I need to pay to know where to get something that will lead me to extra value, right? Like if I know that FC is selling these components for X amount of dollars, or I know that a bounty is at large in a system that's off the grid, or I know that there's a system that is off the grid that an explorer hasn't turned into the cartography services, but that he keeps for himself and dishes out to certain orgs of people, there's a premium on that, and people will pay for that if it leads them to more value in whatever they're going to be undertaking. So that's kind of my take on it. Your data runners are just going to be people who are going to be brokering knowledge, right? Yeah. Like you need to know, you want to know someone, hit me up because I probably know a little bit about it and can figure out how to get it and obtain it so it's useful for you. So it's not only ship related, but it's also kind of career related as well.
Right. We have some things in the game right now, even you guys know, like where the junkyards are, right? They're never on the map. You know what I mean? When you try to bring them up, unless you happen to know how to look for this certain mountain at this certain color at this certain angle over this certain OM spot, that's how you find it. So, I mean, that's a pain in the butt, right? But if somebody does, as you said, to have that data, right? That says this is where these guys are selling a chop shop, right? Where you can take your ship and sell it. you can sell the information. The other thing that I think people forget about is that the star map, which you see on the star map, is not the universe. The star map is what's of the known universe. So there's still stuff that we don't even know about that's going to be planted in the universe. Everything from, as you mentioned, secret bases, bounty areas where pirates are, all types of stuff. And so the question becomes, when I want to find this information, to even navigating a wormhole, right? That's going to be valuable information. Yeah. Valuable information. When a wormhole moves into a new location, when it's disappeared, now there's another one in a different spot. There are going to be all these different aspects of information that could be traded. And then, of course, we get into the whole combat aspect, right? Fastcart, as far as data, any thoughts you have in relation to that, as far as it being tradable, or the importance of it or anything?
Yeah, exploration, finding new planets or metal ore, data gathering. Another aspect of the endeavor is that you can it has a telescope. One of the modules is a telescope, so you can do deep-based search and stuff like that, and maybe because of a certain atmosphere content or certain way that planet acts or whatever, you can predict what minerals are in that planet, and you can sell that maybe.
Yeah.
All valuable information.
And one thing I'll say too, Griff, before we wrap this piece up, or what we're going to do next, think about land beacons, and buying those, putting them down. How might a data runner or information broker use beacons as a way to sell to the highest bidder? Listen, I found a premium spot somewhere in X amount of space. These minerals are here. These things are there. You're acting like a real estate agent for places that aren't, are yet to be found. Who's going to pay top dollar for, that information and to get access to buying the land off of, myself or someone you're brokering the information for. There are all kinds of configurations you can have with it. I think it'd be pretty cool if they could pull it off.
Very cool. Okay, well, if I don't move the pictures here of my buddies too much off the screen, we're getting ready to wrap up for today, but we want to do a little surprise thing. Last week...
Surprise?
Yes, a surprise. Last week, we hit a milestone for Soul Citizens. Tenth, you don't know about this, Fastcart knows. We actually made money from our subscribers. And we got our first check from Twitch. And so we want to do a giveaway. We didn't advertise it because we wanted people that come to our show regularly to be the people who have the best shot at getting it. And if we advertised it on the announcement, Schema Era, hey Schema, good to see you. You said you're going to visit. It's good to have you here. Awesome. We wanted to be able to put this giveaway for you guys. So we're going to ask that you would put in chat exclamation Talon. And hopefully this is going to work, guys. So y'all know how it is when people be trying to do giveaways for the first time. They be acting all crazy. That's why that earlier when went out saying that somebody had won and it wasn't true. So put in exclamation Talon if you are interested in the Talon. We are going to do that in about 2 minutes. Fat Docs 8, thank you for the follow. We appreciate that. And it came Schema Era, thank you for the subscription. Totally love that you did that for us today. Let's see. We're gonna go ahead, Fastcart.
Are you gonna mention which Talon?
No, Talon of your choice. How about that?
All right.
Talon of your choice. Fastcart, how come your name popped in here? You didn't put your name in. All right. Yes. Put in exclamation Talon. She says also rigged.
No, I didn't do anything.
All right. But this will be the Talon of your choice. So if you want the Talon Fighter or the Talon Missile Boat, the Shrike is a Shrike, right? All you'll have to do is let me know which one you prefer, and that'll be the one that you will get. So, Kimmy, you can't be in here. No people of Soul Citizens can put in for this. No can put in for this ship. All right.
Rigged. People are already saying rigged already.
Yeah. All right, but hey, thank you guys for being here today. And it looks like we got, oh wow, we got a good amount of people who have jumped in. Let me make these people eligible that I know. Oh, Kimmy subscribed. They're still not going to get you a strike, buddy. I appreciate you subscribing. But now Kimmy's one of our guys on the team. You guys know
it wasn't Kimmy. It was Scream.
Oh, you got the gift. Yeah. You got a gift subscription. Awesome, Schema. All right, thank you, Schema. All right, we are almost there. It looks like we got a good group of folks here that are lined up, and we are going to give it a, oh wow, another one. Thank you so much. Urban Burger, thank you for the follow. Let's see here. We've got some great subs coming in. Awesome. Thank you guys. This will help for the next giveaway. Oh my God. I feel good. There we go. Another one. This is awesome. Okay.
Oh, Schema gifted 5.
Gave 5. Oh my God, Schema, thank you. That is so awesome. I feel good. All right, he's going to make it so we can give away another ship not too far from now. Star Helix got one. Awesome. James Brown. I love James Brown, guys. Sorry. Okay, let's see. We're going to go ahead and kick this off. Crutan, thank you for the follow. All right, we've given our 3 minutes, and we are about to roll the dice and see what's up here. Hang on 1 second. All right, 3, 2, 1. And Guns and Glue, congratulations. You are the winner of a, what is it, Asperia Talon. Do me a favor, let me know via, let's do this via, you should be able to send it to Soul Citizens Twitch as a message. Send us your email, make sure it's your email for your RSI account, or you can send it to soulcitizens@gmail.com, soulcitizens@gmail.com. Try to do both for me. This is our first time. We want to make sure we get your information. Let us know whether you want the base Talon, the fighter, or if you want the missile boat, the Shrike, and we will get that out to you ASAP. And we really appreciate that. Thank you guys for participating in our very first raffle. Actually, this is our second one. We did one a while back, and I can't remember what we gave away. We gave away something, and I think it was like a P-52 or something like that. And somebody who got it, they were like, I already got one, something like that. So it didn't really go very far. But anyway, we did this one today. So we appreciate you guys once again. Yeah, fastcart.
If you want a Discord information, Gun Glue, you try to use Discord command. Just go in our information down below and click on that, and you can find it there.
We've got a link there for our Discord. Do the Discord one, not the Friday Night Live one. Just do the one in Discord, and that'll bring you in, and that way you can drop us the message information as well. And you can DM me directly, GriffinGamingRPG, if you want to go through there, and that'll be awesome. Okay, it's been a long night, but a fun night and very informative night. Yeah. Tenth, any last words before you go? Tell people where people can find you, where they can see you, where they can talk to you.
Yeah, I know. Great show tonight. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Pretty much you can find me, if I'm not here on Soul Citizens, I'll be on Channel 27 News on Tuesdays. Griff and I, you'll see Griff there as well, too, but we cover some of the news in the verse. But I'll be bouncing around a whole bunch of Discords, so that I'm not streaming currently, but doing shows like this is tremendously fun for me. So Sundays and Tuesdays, find me on one of these different places.
Mm-hmm. And FC, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/fast_cart. I also don't stream, but I appear on other people's stream. I'm on the Base Radio with Miss Hart, that's 80's show, on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Shiver has a couple of streams on Wednesday and Friday for his Vampire the Masquerade role-playing game. You can find me there in the chat. And sometimes on Relay, sometimes on Paul Shelley's Captain Table. I'm all over the place.
Absolutely. And as Tenth said, we kind of frequent some of the same places, but I want to give some shout outs to some people again, and the fact that we were able to hit this great landmark today with our Twitch. Special shout out to the folks at Relay. Thank you to Paul Shelley. Thank you to Captain Richard. Thank you to Uber Nerd. You are the man. Thank you so much. Schema, thank you for tonight and coming by and for the gifts that you gave today, the special gifts that you gave out to folks. And to all of you guys who've been really supportive of us, we are going into our 4th month fast cart. What was this, episode 20? what, 23?
24?
So I don't
24?
know how many episodes it is. Yeah. But thank you guys for the support that you've been giving. Also, don't forget, we got a new show that started. Friday Night Live comes on at was it 11:30 Eastern Time, 10:30 Central Time, and it is our live talk show. It's like a radio show where you can come in and talk to us, and you come in Discord and you participate in our show. Our questions are live questions that you could talk to us and ask questions about what's going on in Star Citizen for that week. We usually cover ISC and SCL and just have a really good conversation. Kimmy's been on the last couple of weeks, and we've been having a lot of fun with that. And so hopefully I can get these other two guys on. Fastcart's got another life, but we'll get 10th on one night too. Nerdy Times TV, thank you. Ravi West, thank you. Spurcato, thank you. Crutan, thank you guys for the follows. We appreciate you guys even jumping in the midnight hour. We appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and put out a raid on someone. I think I'm going to shoot for Tyrant Merchant. So give me a second to type that in. You guys say hello to Tyrant Merchant. Even if you don't hang around, just give him a shout. Tell him hey from the Soul Citizens. And we hope you guys have a really, really good week. Thanks again for hanging out with us on a Sunday. Any last words, Fastcart?
The Kraken barbecue is how much?
Good.
Okay, we're going to start loading up for Tyrant Merchant here, gang. Ooh, what did that happen there? Oh, I see my screens all just went blank all of a sudden. I'm like, what happened? All right. Anyway, you guys have a good one. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks again for everything. As always, peace, love, and soul. We're out of here. Have a good one.